Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars, topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and today is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone. This morning, my parents had our Valentine's Day gifts. My parents are really sweet. They always give us Valentine's Day gifts, and even when we move out of the house or go away for college, they make sure that we still receive our Valentine's Day gift on Valentine's Day. So they'll send it to us or invite us over or deliver them, something like that, every single year. And I think I might have discussed this on the podcast before, on a previous episode. I don't know. But I remember a long time ago when we were really, really young, probably like elementary school, my favorite Valentine's Day gift was hermit crabs that they gave us. So they always give us really cool gifts for Valentine's Day. Like, it's not just like candy and a card and things like that. Like, we always get really interesting, cool Valentine's Day gifts like hermit crabs. So anyways, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone. If you're single and ready to mingle, that's cool. If you're in a relationship, that's cool too. My girlfriend tonight, she's having a Valentine's Day party, and I know that it's like just girlfriends, you know, like whatever. It's people make it a bigger deal than it has to be, I think. I don't know. I guess it's sweet though. I always have really good Valentine's Day memories thanks to my parents, so I don't have anything negative to say due to Valentine's Day and not having a Valentine. But anyway, so we have a lot to discuss. We have to discuss a new record that has been set in women's basketball. So we're going to discuss that later in the episode, as well as the D-League and potential name change over there and what it's going to be changed to, as well as more college basketball. There's just a lot of little things in quite a few leagues that we have to discuss when it comes to basketball today. So we're going to jump right into it. First off, we're going to discuss the games from last night that took place in the NBA. The 76ers went to go visit the Charlotte Hornets, beat them 105-99. Kemba Walker of Charlotte, he had 29.7 rebounds and 3 assists for the Hornets, but it was not enough. The 76ers have been doing decent lately, you know. I mean, they're 21-34 overall, so not great, not terrible either, but, you know, considering how things have been going for them and young with what they're going through and injuries, all that, they're doing pretty well. They're not doing terrible this season. The Spurs defeated the Pacers. We're going to discuss what that means for the Spurs later on today. They defeated the Pacers 110-106. Kawhi Leonard had 32.6 rebounds and 3 assists, where Paul George also had a great game for the Pacers, 27.6 rebounds and 3 assists for that guy over there. The Grizzlies defeated the Brooklyn Nets 112-103. A lot of high-scoring games last night as far as points are concerned. Mike Conley of the Memphis Grizzlies. He had 32 points, 1 rebound, and 6 assists for that win with his team. The Orlando Magic defeated the Miami Heat in Miami, 116-107. And then we have, unfortunately, another loss for OKC. They went to go visit the Washington Wizards over in D.C. They lost to them 98-120. John Wall of the Wizards, he had 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 14 assists. So a great game for John Wall last night. And then we had the Pistons taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. They lost to them 89-102. Marcus Morris of the Pistons, 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, whereas Greg Monroe of the Milwaukee Bucks had 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists for his team last night. And then the Boston Celtics did really well, holding it down against the Dallas Mavericks, 111-98. Isaiah Thomas, of course, the top performer for the Celtics last night, 29 points, 1 rebound, and 8 assists for him in that victory last night. And then the Warriors actually lost by quite a bit to the Denver Nuggets, 110-132. Kevin Durant, he had a so-so game. I mean, it seems like when he's playing a big rival, a major rival, he goes all out. I mean, like I said, he had a decent game, 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. But, like when he plays OKC and things like that, he's posting well over 30 points in those games. Then we're going down here to LA. Actually, we weren't in LA last night. They were in Utah, but it was the LA Clippers against the Utah Jazz. The Clippers defeated the Jazz 88-72. Blake Griffin, 26 points. He had 10 rebounds and 6 assists. Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz, 10 points, 14 rebounds, and 1 assist for that big guy in Utah. Then the Pelicans defeated the Phoenix Suns 110-108. So a really good, fun, close, high-scoring game for you Pelican and Suns fans. Anthony Davis, the top performer and the big guy who, was a major factor in that game for the Pelicans. He had 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. Whereas Eric Bledsoe of the Phoenix Suns, he had 37 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists. And then to wrap up the games last night in overtime, which is very, very exciting. I love overtime games. I love when games go to overtime, but I love it when my team barely just pulls out, It's always a lot of fun watching overtime because I feel like we're getting more basketball than what we expected because you're getting more minutes, you're getting more time added to the normal schedule. But I love it. So the Hawks defeated the Trailblazers last night, 109-104. Paul Millsap of the Hawks, he had 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, making him the top performer and the leader in that victory against the Trailblazers for the Hawks. So that was a very, very big game. Great game for them. And like I said, I love it when there is overtime in games. I do. I love overtime. I love it when there's close games and then they barely pull out in the end. Double overtime and triple overtime gets to be a little bit long and exhausting, but I don't know. I love at least one overtime. And then the cool thing about the Spurs that I wanted to discuss in regards to their victory last night as well is that it puts them on a 20 straight winning season streak. So let me take that back because I don't think I said that very well. So they set the record with their 20th straight winning season. And so for the last 20 years, and we've talked about it, we've said it before in the podcast, I've said it before, we've discussed it with Ben, how the Spurs are just a tried and true team. So they've had a winning record every season since the great Tim Duncan was a rookie back in 1997-1998 season, and now this season coming off of his retirement as well. And so that record was actually previously set by Utah, who had 19 straight winning seasons from 1985 to 2004. So now the Spurs have clinched that title with 20 straight winning streaks, and I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if they continue that. They are currently 42-13 this season. So with that is going to take us into our first break, and then when I come back, we still have to discuss college basketball as well as another winning streak being record that's been set that wasn't really a record. It's a new record, and it's a high standard to set over in UConn with women's basketball. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline, and now we are going to kind of shift gears into college basketball for just a moment. And later on in the episode, I want to discuss like the new D-League name change and a lot of other news, like just other news. But first, let's give you guys a recap of last night's top 25 games that went on last night. That sounded kind of funny, but whatever. So, number 2, Villanova defeated DePaul. No real big surprise there. 75-62. Jalen Brunson of Villanova, he had 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. So, good game for that guard over there. And then we had number 9, West Virginia, taking on number 3, Kansas. Now, if you guys watched that game, that was an exciting game over there as well. It went to overtime, which I love. Not the only game that went to overtime in college basketball last night. So we're going to discuss the other one in the top 25. So Kansas was actually down 14 with 3 minutes left in regulation play. And then they ended up coming back and defeating West Virginia in overtime, 84-80. Frank Mason III of Kansas, he had 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists over there. So an exciting game, especially if you enjoy Kansas. If you are a Kansas fan, that's a great game for you. They outscored West Virginia in overtime 13-9. So definitely still a very fun and exciting overtime game as well. Some overtime minutes that they had in there, but Kansas was able to pull out with that win. Again, that was 84-80. And then we also had number 4, Baylor, take on Texas Tech. Not able to get it done against Texas Tech, which is, Texas Tech, they're not ranked. And they're only 5-8 in the Big 12, whereas Baylor is 9-4. So kind of interesting. The Baylor lost to them 78-84. Terry Maston of Baylor, he had 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 block for the forward. However, Liam Stevenson of Texas Tech, he had 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in that victory over number 4 Baylor. So really interesting. And again, all of these games matter, and you can't just go into a game thinking that you got this just because a team isn't ranked or whatever, or has a worse record than you do in conference play, because here you go. Baylor is ranked number 4 and still lost to Texas Tech in an upset. And I'm very excited. We're inching closer and closer to March Madness, to Selection Sunday on March 12th. I'm getting so excited because that's when it's so fun, because games like this, Texas Tech defeating number 4 Baylor, this type of scenario, these upsets are so common. They're so fun, and anything can happen in March Madness. And I think that's why people love it. I know that's why I love it, because it doesn't really matter. As long as you can get into the tournament, it doesn't really matter where you're ranked. Well, I mean, it does, but anything is possible. So you can be ranked in the last seed and, hey, cause an upset, beat them, beat those top teams, and, kick them out early. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's very exciting. But anyway, so another overtime game in play last night. Number 8 Louisville defeated unranked Syracuse 76-72. So they went into overtime. Like I said, Louisville outscored Syracuse in overtime 18-14. So again, another fun and exciting overtime. I love it when overtime, when the overtime part of a game, piece of the game is still really, there's a lot of scoring, and it's not just like, okay, they won because we fouled a guy and he made his 2 free throws and then nobody else scores the rest of the overtime. So it was a lot of fun. Great closeout for Louisville. I know that they got a little bit scared in that, I'm sure, because, you're not expecting to really go into overtime against Syracuse. So that was that for college basketball. We have some other exciting games coming on, and I wanted to give a new update on what the polls are saying and where everybody is ranked as of today. So keep it locked here. I'm going to take it to one more quick break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you guys updated polls as far as college basketball is concerned. We're going to talk D-League. We are also going to talk women's basketball. So keep it locked here. We're listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I will be right back.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
All right, and welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Pauline. We're getting ready to wrap up this episode of the podcast. Tonight, we are going to be having number 15 Florida take on Auburn. Tennessee is going to battle against number 13 Kentucky in Lexington tonight. Then we have Rutgers going on to see number 16 Purdue. 25 Notre Dame is going to visit Boston College. So those are some games to keep a lookout for tonight as far as the top 25 teams and what they're doing tonight on this Valentine's Day. I mean, that would be kind of like a fun Valentine's Day gift, present experience thing to do with your significant other, your girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad, whoever, your niece, your nephew. I would love to go to a basketball game on Valentine's Day. I feel like that would be a lot of fun. And but see, if I'm going to see a game and the team that I'm rooting for, if it's not the Kings, if it's not UC Irvine, if it's not, one of my regular teams that I actually go for, that I'm actually a fan of, and then I typically go for the home team. That's just my automatic default, unless they have like a player on the team that I really, really like. Like if I'm going to a Lakers game, I'm never going to go for the Lakers, even though I've been to a couple of Lakers games in the Staples Center. I'm never going for the Lakers. I'm always going to go for whoever they're playing. But on Valentine's Day, I guess I would want to wear like a red and pink outfit, but then I would have to be careful that it's not the same color as the opposing team on who I am rooting for. So I don't know. I just feel like that would be a lot of fun to spend your evening, afternoon watching a basketball game, or like literally just watching even a college basketball game. College basketball games to me are so much fun. So anyway, so we're going to take it to the polls today because we have the new updated rankings for the week as of yesterday. So Gonzaga are still sitting up there this is their third straight week ranked at number 1. They're currently, their overall record right now is 26-0, so they are still undefeated. They received 60 of the possible 65 votes for that one in the poll. So they're doing still very, very well. Ben and I, we discussed this yesterday, but it's going to be interesting come tournament time when they actually have some stiff competition. And then we have number 2, Villanova. We're sitting at number 3 is Kansas, number 4, Baylor, number 5, Arizona. We have number 6, UCLA, and then Oregon is sitting in that number 7 slot. Louisville sitting at number 8. Number 9 is going to be West Virginia, and then North Carolina rounding out that top 10 with the power rankings. Well, excuse me, the AP top 25. Now, when we talk about the rankings and things like that, and where games are very important, every game is important. So, for example, the last week, or this past week of basketball games, we had a huge jump and a really big fall for a game. So SMU moved from number 25 to being ranked number 19 for defeating Cincinnati, who was previously ranked pretty high up, number 11. They were ranked at number 11. Now they are down to 18, so just one above SMU after the Mustangs defeated Cincinnati and broke their 15-game winning streak on Sunday. And then Duke, who beat North Carolina and Clemson last week, moved up from number 18 to number 12. So these games are very, very important. We always talk about this every week. We always discuss it, but it's true. These games are really important, and defeating a team, like a big team, such as SMU did in defeating Cincinnati, who was a lot higher in their ranks. They went from rounding up the top 5 or top 25 to sitting nicely at 19. So it's very, very important, these games. I'm excited, especially as we inch closer to March Madness. I'm so very excited for March Madness. You guys have no idea. I'm already kind of planning and trying to figure out how I can possibly go to some of the tournament games. I've been doing a lot of traveling, and you guys know I just got back from Hawaii. I'm doing a lot of traveling this year, and I'm trying to look at my schedule and figure out what I can do, where I want to go, what games. And I know if you guys are listening, you guys are thinking, well, girl, you should have gotten your tickets by now. I know. So, and that's my other problem, is the tickets, and then I have to get there, and just, they are hosting round 1 and 2 here in Sacramento at the Golden One Center, so I'm going to try to at least make one of those games. That would be a lot of fun. So anyways, so we're going to jump into, to wrap up this segment on college basketball, we are going to talk about and discuss UConn. So UConn women's basketball, we all know, they're phenomenal. They literally, if you go to UConn, especially these last few years, you are basically signing a contract to, your scholarship. And I'm sure somewhere in the fine print, it says, asterisk, we guarantee you a national championship. We guarantee you playoffs. We guarantee you wins. We guarantee you that you will roll past any and every competition that decides to step to you on the court. And the reason why I say this is because they just defeated on Monday. So last night, they defeated number 6 South Carolina 66-55 and recorded their 100th straight win. No other basketball team, male or female, has ever even neared that mark in the NCAA. So I don't care whatever. The last time they lost a game was 818 days ago. That was all the way back in November 2014 when they lost to Stanford in overtime. And so, you know, it was a home game for them. Brianna Stewart, Sue Bird, Maya Moore. These are some of our favorite names in the WNBA. They are former Huskies. They were there to see that win for them. And honestly, so this is the record now for NCAA, right? And if you guys recall, another great winning streak was held by John Wooden over in UCLA, where he had an 88-game winning streak with UCLA. But this has basically never been done before. They've had 4 consecutive national championship titles. Okay. They've also, only 2 games have ended with a margin of less than 10 points. So they're not only beating you, they're teaching you how to play the game. And now the only other record really left for UConn to pursue is one that was set by Wayland Baptist University back in the 1950s, where they won 131 straight. However, that was in AAU games. So of the modern era, UConn has set the standard with that 100th game winning streak, 100-game winning streak. So if they, I don't see it as being impossible to win another 31 games. It's just, it's easy, it's simple, it's very, very attainable with this team. So they are probably going to set the overall record in the history of basketball for all teams in it. So now I wanted to wrap up this episode discussing the D-League. So it is official. The D-League, the NBA Development Leagues, we've discussed this before in previous episodes, but the NBA Development League, will be renamed to the NBA Gatorade League for the 2017-2018 season. So the agreement allows the G League, that's what they're going to be calling it, which, I'm not too mad at that. The G League sounds kind of cool. No, I like it. Gatorade League sounds not as cool, but then when you break it down to just G League, it sounds cool. And I guess that does sound better than Development League, and I guess that's why they do call it the D League, because the D League just sounds cooler. So the G League is going to also be able to take advantage of Gatorade Sports Science Institute. And so it's going to be a partnership in a way. It's going to allow sports science expertise and knowledge to enhance player performance in basketball. So through nutrition, through training, and other advances. And Gatorade's senior vice president and also general manager, Brett O'Brien, he listed, for example, they're going to be testing things such as players' sweat type and amount, whether or not they're a fat burner or a carbohydrate burner, which is going to be kind of interesting. I'm interested to see exactly what that means. And then as well as recovery advances and joint health. So really just overall, every part of the athlete is going to be studied in, all of these different ways to combat it. And as far as I'm sure with recovery, ways to help them recover faster, ways to help prevent and treat injuries in a more timely manner, which would be really awesome for the game. And so as part of the deal, we're going to see Gatorade logos on jerseys, game balls, and of course on the court. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out in the new G League and see when and how that will translate into the NBA as well in the future. So that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Pauline. You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts basketball podcast, and I believe it will be Ben. Yes, Ben will be in tomorrow to give you guys an update on all things basketball after tonight. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your Valentine's Day. If you're not going to enjoy it, just, I don't know, drink a caramel macchiato, eat something really sweet and good, maybe like cake. I don't know. Sounds like a good plan to me. So I will see you guys on Thursday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.